Mic check, mic check, mic check. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. I hope everybody's having a good day. I feel like starting off with a smile today. Yeah, you just sometimes you just gotta smile, let it out, get it going. I'm your co-host, Impeccable of the Chicken Box, powered by the Afro American newspaper, now the Afro News, the nation's, the country's, the world's oldest black media owned company over 132 years. We have our co host, the CEO, Dr. Francis Tony Draper, with me today. How are you today, Dr. Draper?
I, I have a friend that answers those questions this way. I choose to be well.
You must have heard my speech before I got on. I said I never had a bad day.
Yep. So
Some things, some bad circumstances happen. Like this lady's like, "You having a bad day? Your car battery died." I said, "No, my car's having probably a bad day. I'm never having a bad day." We're talking about, man, this is the chicken box. And if you're not from Baltimore, you're like, what is he talking about? It is four greasy wings, some fries, salt, pepper, ketchup, hot sauce. If you're hungry like I am right now, just push through a little bit because this information is going to be good. We're talking about the power of marketing your brand. And a lot of people have heard that, and the brands have popped up all over the social media. People weren't brand. They were brands, but they weren't personal brands as much. But your brand, what is your brand? We have a special guest joining us today, Dr. Draper. If you could be so kind to introduce her, and then we're going to just get into the conversation because this is the power. So when we put power in front of something, we hope we're going to get some powerful information that you can share to market your brand. So, Dr. Draper.
So we are so happy today to welcome Dr. Pam Perry. Listen, you can if you Google her name, you know how sometimes you Google somebody's name and they're not the first name that comes up. It's like, they're like 20th name down because it's a common name. Pamela is, Pam is, Perry is. You Google her and it's right at the top because she is an award winning. Let me say that again. She's an award winning publicist, communicator, and she helps other people to be award winning and to get their brands noticed. And so she has worked with so many notable folk, but she's a down to earth kind of person. So even if you have not yet gotten a name for yourself, that's why you go to Dr. Pam. And she helps to get you known, helps to get you noticed, helps to get you out there, helps to get people to call you and say, hey, I want you to come and speak. I want you to write. I want you to show up. And so that's who Dr. Pam Perry is. She is in Farmington Hills, Michigan, where my good friend Marie is. Marie Banks. Hey, Marie, if you're watching, how are you? If you don't know Dr. Pam, you all are in the same neighborhood in Michigan. She is a person who knows her stuff. And a whole lot of people know Dr. Pam. So Dr. Pam, welcome. We are so glad to have you. I know I didn't give you a whole bio. Oh, and she's got a magazine called Speakers Magazine that features phenomenal folk, on the cover. And her client, there it is. I've got my copy too.
Yes. You probably know this guy too.
Yep, Dr. Willie Jolly, who
Dr.
tells
Willie Jolly.
that a setback is a setup for a comeback. We know exactly.
We do need that book right now because people feel like they are having a whole lot of setbacks, okay, with this administration. So it's a setup for a comeback. I think that's what this is going to be.
It's an opportunity, right?
Yes.
It's an opportunity for us to get our message out since people tend to be confused about terms like what DEI really is and what woke is, and they'll never get CRT. So we're not going to try to explain that to folks that don't know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a perfect opportunity through the PR lens to say, you know what, let us define these terms the way they're supposed to be defined because folk are obviously confused.
Yeah, and words are powerful. So any type of movement that is ever going to be made is because of words of people like you guys promoting, marketing, telling our stories, recording our history for over 100 years. It's necessary. It's needed now more than ever. The Black press, I've always been a big supporter, proponent of it, and press in general. The free press. Obviously, my first job out of school was actually working at the Detroit Free Press. But at home, we always got Jet magazine every week. Ebony magazine, Michigan Chronicle, which was green at the time in the 60s. We were getting those at home because we needed people to tell our stories. But it's so important. This is before the word branding became a thing, but really, a brand is what people think about you when you leave the room. That's what they do. What do they think about you? What do they know about you when you leave the room? And so people now need to have those personal brands more than ever. If you're working a government job and you've been tucked in away, for 10, 15, 20 years in a government job, and then they decide one day, okay, they're going to write a thing and just say you're gone. It's like, okay, well, where are you showing up on Google? You have expertise, you have skills, you have abilities, you have gifts and talents, but you don't have a brand. Nobody can Google you and find what it is that you do. So
Let's talk about that a little bit, Dr. Pam. So, I mean, this is real life. There are highly skilled, highly talented people who, with no notice, regardless of the legal remedy they may have, legal remedy is going to take longer than it takes for you to have to pay your mortgage next month, right?
mm-hmm.
You got to get your mortgage paid before the legal remedy kicks in. But you have people who are now, as I said, highly trained, highly qualified, got years of experience, not ready to retire. They still have years to go in the workforce, but no personal brand. So what do you say to people? Where do they start with something like that?
I would say this is the thing, and words are powerful. Speaking and writing. Speaking and writing so that people will know what's in your head. So people will know what your expertise is. Speaking and writing. Speaking as often as you can, whether it's groups, organizations, churches. Obviously, churches have always been open to us as African Americans. So you want to speak to churches, you want to do a seminar, webinar, and then writing. You want to write either columns, you can write for your newspaper, you can write op-eds, you can write a book. Those are where you start really just packaging your expertise up in a way where people can consume it, where it can go where you can't go. So you can write, you can blog, you can do Substack, you could do Medium, you could do op-eds and newspapers. There's so many opportunities that you can start. And then you maybe want to do a podcast like what we're doing right now. We're a podcast, we're our own television show. You can be your own media. I did a seminar years ago, probably the early 2000s, called Own the Media. You can own your own media. Blog can be your newspaper. You could do your own magazine. You could do a YouTube show. You could do a podcast, so own the media so that you can really take control of your own narrative. You can do that in the internet. Couldn't have did it in the 80s so much. You could do it now. You could start it now. You could start your own YouTube channel. You could do your own podcast. You could do your own blog. And I tell people, I said, do that and package your genius. Really make sure that people know who you are, what you offer, who you serve. In corporate contracts, whether you sell to consumers, whether you sell to corporations, you have something to offer someone. So packaging what it is that you do, creating an offer with that and selling it. You can make a living without a job, without a good government job. You can do it. You were doing it anyway. You were doing the work.
Well, you help people. Do you help people who say, you know what, I hear you, Dr. Pam, I got it. That's what I can do. But I've been at my good government job all this long time, and I don't really know how to do that.
Then I push them. I really do. That's what a publicist does. The publicist sees a bigger version than they do of themselves, because the job just really keeps them in the box. You want to break out of the box. And so I do help them really figure out their expertise, how to showcase it, how to market it, and then how to sell it. That is a whole. And then there's other resources as well, because I'm not a business coach, but I help them with the hardest part of being in business, which is marketing and sales, that part. And when you're on a job, you don't have to market and sell. You just have to do the work. But doing the work is consequential, because when you're in business, your main job is really selling and marketing. You already know the work. So just having people flip the switch on that. I remember reading a book years ago. When I first started my company, I started my company in 2000. So I read this book in 1996, and the book was called How to Make a Living Without a Job. It was revolutionary at that time, because it talked about, if you know how to write, You can write newsletters. If you know how to edit, you can edit for corporations. You can do this. And I was like, I have all those skills. And all I had to do was just really knock on the door and say, hey, can you use my skills? Just like you would if you were applying for a job, you apply for a corporate contract. And I did that. And I worked from home at that time, which was unusual. People say, oh my goodness, you don't have a place to work. You work from home. Well, that's where people mostly work now. They work remote. They call it remote now, but you work from home. So yeah, I would tell people that you have to just really think differently about your skill set, know it's a brand, know how to package it, how to promote it, and not be afraid of promoting. I'm not saying bragging, but I find that especially African American women are so much more educated with so many letters and degrees behind their name. And they are the ones that will least raise their hand to really tell someone how bright and brilliant they are. Whereas someone who is a white dude who has less experience is the loudest one at the table and at the room and in the White House. And they are making the deals. Whereas someone else who has all the experience and the degrees aren't saying anything. So a publicist pushes a person to my calling is to push women, especially African American women and men, to really speak and shine their light, because it's time. It's, I'm real passionate about that. That's why I bought this book. I told you I bought it at the airport. Dr. Tony, remember I said,
Yeah, you told me.
oh my God. I said, getting the word out. And I read about all the African American women publishers. And I was so impressed. I literally, when I was reading it, some of them were generations of, and I was like, people need to know more about this. They really do. They would just, if they just knew where they came from, a lot of people would speak up.
Yeah, but I need to retain you, Dr. Perry. Go ahead, Impeccable. You sound like you.
I have my notes out. Guys, if you just tuned in, this is the Chicken Box. We have Dr. Pam Perry on, Dr. Draper, the two doctors. You know what? I'm gonna call myself Dr. Impeccable today. You know what I mean? A long story short, Impeccable. People look at that name and then it's spelled. It stands for Mr. Peck, which my last name is Peck. Is able to do anything he puts his mindset to. So that's where Impeccable came from. But it came from when I was 40. This was almost 18 years ago. And that's when everybody's like, what's your brand going to be? I was like, I need a brand at 40, right? So to the point that some people don't know my whole name. They just call me Impeccable because I pushed that out there. So that was interesting for you to say what people say about you when you leave the room. Now, my mark was to be excellent in everything I did. So I figured Impeccable was going to be, at least if I'm not there, I'm at least thinking about getting there, right? Mm-hmm. So, but what about the person who said, okay, I've heard all of this brand. I think I can do it, but I'm not really sure. And I heard that they can come to you, but what can you tell a person to move them off their comfort zone? Because I heard a long time ago that unless you're uncomfortable, you're not growing.
Oh, yeah. So I deal with a lot of ministry people and preachers and people who come out of the church too as well.
Well, they're going to be able to speak. They're
going to be able to speak, but then they're a little timid about social media and things like that. So I tell them, and this is unethical, not unethical, but it shakes them up. I tell them to read this book. It's called Crush It. And I tell them about this guy. And now these are church people. Some of them are preachers. I said,
crush
it. I said,
I got my notes out for everybody else who might don't have their notes.
And the guy's name is Gary Vaynerchuk. And early 2000, he was crushing it online with a wine library TV. He was horrible, but he had thousands and thousands of followers following him on Twitter. He would say whatever. He would drink wine. He said, well, this wine, people says, oh, you need to pair it with salmon or chicken or beef. He said, but pair it with Cheerios if you want. If you like it, he was just uncouth, right? He would cuss, whatever. I said, but listen, he is making money. Today, he is worth multiple millions of dollars. I tell him, I said, the little book is about this thin. I think he's ADHD. He's just always hyper all over the place. I said, but he turns on the camera. He talks. People listen. People follow him. He's online. He's made a multi-million-dollar business, Vaynerchuk Media, basically wine library, because his father owned a liquor store. He started talking more about wine, made the business just blossom and grow into millions of dollars. This was when he was in his 20s. I think he's probably like in his 40s now. And I'm like, the dude is cussing on, just say whatever. I said, so you have a good message, trying to make a difference in the world, and you won't turn on the camera and talk or write.
Turn on the camera. Pam, Dr. Pam. I don't know how many people, and I deal with artists too. They want everything to be perfect.
It ain't gonna be perfect when you just start.
Like I'm in the office, but I don't even know what that is. I mean, we know what that is. You have to
start. Just start. You could course correct as you go. Course correct. My first videos were so crunchy and bad. They were bad. No one is good when they first start.
You gotta turn it on. You have to turn the video on, because if you have something to say, it's going to connect with somebody.
That's it. You got to have something to say.
Let's talk about consistency. Let's talk about Dr. Pam. What do you tell your clients?
You got to have something to say. I mean, the whole thing about when I talk about Gary Vaynerchuk, Wine Library TV, he ran that for years. He said for a whole year he was tweeting, talking about it. No one paid any attention. A whole year, but he was passionate about it. He talked about wine. Eventually, it caught on. But how passionate are you? Are you quick to give up after? They said the average podcast is about 7 episodes. 7 episodes. So it's right, like 7 times. And then you give up. I did Blog Talk Radio way back when and had 300 and something episodes. When I first started, I didn't know what I was doing. It was a Blog Talk Radio. It was like the first kind of podcast, and I had Rudy Rasmus on my very first podcast, but eventually got better. And I have one of my favorite podcasts I did was with Reverend Run. I did Kirk Franklin. I did Yolanda Adams. This is on Blog Talk Radio.
Look, I was on Blog Talk too. That was a trip. You just made me think about it. You had to call the phone number to get onto the to the line, right?
It would be better if you had a landline too. Remember, they said, well, it'd be better if you have a landline. Who has a landline today? Nobody.
Like, what are they talking about? Blog Talk Radio. We're talking about the power of marketing your brand, everybody. And if you don't make a big deal about it, then why should they? Dr. Draper, why should they?
Absolutely. I agree. You know,
when I go back to the paper, but let's start with the AFRO.
Okay.
Black America's oldest media company. And we meet a lot of people who said they were paper boys as a child.
And paper girls.
Right. And what did they stand on the corner and say?
In the AFRO.
Yeah. Right. So they were yelling the AFRO's name. There's no social media. There's no internet. It's like it was the word of mouth, which is super strong. Right. It was happening back then. Thing about it is, now that we have the internet, you can like your word of mouth can be super quick to millions of people if you just turn your camera on. You don't know. I had this conversation with some people just 2 days ago, Dr. Pam. Yeah. You know, they don't have the right light. They don't have the right camera. This camera right here on your phone, 4K.
Exactly.
Almost every cell phone is a 4K.
Just take a little thing like this, put it on your desk, and you got immediately a camera. Put the camera in the thing and set it on the desk. That's your camera, and go live. Live every day. Do it every day. Do it every day for at least 90 days, as long as you're on probation. Do it every day for 90 days.
That's as long as you're on probation, do it every day for 90 days.
Do it every day for 90, and then just see what happens. You'll get better the more you do it. And I always tell people, I said, sometimes people is like, oh, I don't know, with ladies, it's like, oh, I don't know about how I look or my teeth, my hair, whatever. If you don't like it, nobody else is gonna like it. Love who you are in the mirror, in your own skin. I always tell people over 40, much ain't gonna really change. You gotta love the skin you in, so you gotta get used to it. And so I always tell people I'm a publicist, not a therapist. I said, but if there's certain things that you need to work on, go work on it with the therapist, but come back and get in the market, get in the marketplace. And nobody have time for you to figure out, to really coddle you along about your own brand. It's
Well,
your brand. Nobody's
think
going to coddle you.
People they want to be super, you know what I mean? They want to edit their life, but to connect with people, I think you have to be human. Like you have to learn how to humanize yourself. That's what the millennials and the gens, they've learned how to humanize themselves. They're doing whatever. They're walking around their house, rubbing their eye, whatever they're doing. And people
they do videos in their car.
I watch them eat, like whatever they're doing, but people are connecting with them and they feel that they know them. So then when it's time for them to market something to their brand, they are very receptive because they feel like they know you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? To the point that they'll say anything online, but you know what I mean? But still,
yeah,
they have not been afraid to turn, and it's turned into millions of dollars, just like you said with the wine example.
Mm-hmm. Even Tabitha Brown for a whole year, she said that she would turn on her camera and cook her vegan food and no one was watching, until one day she said she went to Whole Foods and kind of did a demonstration there. She was doing Uber at the time, and she hadn't had a chance to really get home to do the video, so she did the video in Whole Foods. She said, "Oh, put another video up, ain't nobody gonna watch it." When she got home, it went viral. And Whole Foods called her and said, "Hey, we'd love you to be, quote unquote, our ambassador," before they even called it that. And that's how she got started. But it was a whole year before Tabitha Brown got any recognition or notice. She posted every day before anyone. No one comes out here. I've been doing, and Dr. Tony, you said, you put my name in Google. Well, I remember at one point in time when I put my name in Google, and the only thing that would come up was this other name, Pam Perry, who had a video about singing about Road 65 or something. I don't know. And I was like, oh no, that can't be. And I just started stuffing Google, putting in videos and blogs and things like that, putting in content so that her name is pushed down and my name gets pushed up. It can only happen when you put in content that your name goes in. And so that was just intentional. Tabitha Brown was intentional every single day. And to the point now where she's got her stuff in Target and, all kind of things. She got a restaurant. She's doing really good now, but it started from the standpoint of her turning on her phone. And to this day, she'll just eat a grape, on the video. It get like thousands of views. I'm like, she's just eating grapes.
Everybody, let's do a test right now. Just
go to Google.
Go to Google and put your name in and see where you pop up. Like I just did it while y'all were talking. So when I put in Impeccable, I was at the top of the chart, right? Everybody knows the Kevin. My first name is Kevin, right? I don't know anybody that doesn't know at least one Kevin. So I said, I got to separate myself from them. But if I put in Kevin Peck, I'm going to tell you, I know how I got light skin. I'm going to tell you that much. Because I didn't see not one African American or Black person. I mean, it's a Kevin Peck who's a pastor of an Austin church.
Yes.
Like the pictures of Kevin Peck that come up are hilarious. But when I decided to switch the brand to Impeccable, I come right up to the top.
You come up first.
Everybody do a test yourself and just see where you fall amongst your namesakes.
So you're telling our viewers to do that, right? To see where they.
Everybody who's listening, if they're listening now or listening later, just get your brand up. See where you are, because you want everything.
I love that. And then you have an LLC as well. And just in terms of where should people start, you asked that too, Dr. Tony. Buyyourname.com. That will be important to do that first. If your name is taken, mine was taken when I decided to get my name.com. I put PR behind it because that represents the industry that I was in. So PamPerryPR.com. But if you're not in PR, maybe it is, whatever it is, something speaks or author or coach, to add it to the word as well, so that people know that if your name is taken. but it's like real estate. Buy that first. Even if you don't build the website out yet,
Mhm.
buy the name.com, not the
Mhm.
company. Obviously, the company, you could buy the company name, but buy your name.com because you don't want someone else to have your name. I work with a lot of pastors who obviously they're famous, they have mega churches, but they had not bought their name. So I'm one particular pastor, it's like somebody has my name.com and they were holding it hostage for thousands of dollars. He said, well, I'll just put pastor in front of it.
That's right.
Pastor, .com. And that was it. And then he started putting in more information on Google with that tag and push that other person down because you could say tdjakes.com and obviously he owns that. But if TD Jakes was taken, it would be Pastor TD Jakes or Reverend TD Jakes or
Mhm.
TD Jakes Enterprises, whatever it is. So there's a workaround, but make sure that in order to be Googleicious, I call it Googleicious, you
I
want
love
to
it.
at least
I love
start by buying your name. And
I
I
like
was I did that. So Dr. Tony, years ago, I did a seminar at an AME convention, and I
uh-huh.
remember Dr. Bryant was there, and I put up on the thing Googleicious. It's like be Googleicious because this is the time when Beyonce had a song out that talked about bootylicious. So anyway, so I talked about being Googleicious, and they were like, "Did she just say Googleicious based on like that Beyonce song?" I was like, "Oh my God!" They have not had me back, but I did. I think a lot of a lot of them did get
We're
the
gonna have
point.
to do it. We're gonna have to do a chicken box on music that church people listen to because they act like they're not listening to.
I,
They are listening
you
to.
know, they were listening to
Come on now.
Beyonce.
Anyway, listen. You get them at a place and they put one of them line dance. You say you don't believe they. You didn't even think they knew how to dance. All of a sudden they are doing every move in the video.
That is
Anyway,
it.
that's another show. If you just tuned in, this is I'm with Dr. Pam Perry and Dr. Francis J. We're talking about the power of marketing your brand. Also, she said you got to speak about it and write about it. And she spoke on her speakers magazine. Let me just add that to the stage. This is speakersmagazine.com. Thank you,
Yeah.
Asia, our producer, for getting that up. But go check it out. I know most people like, man, I don't like to speak in front of people. What happens to the people you meet who says, I do not like to speak in front of people?
I tell them to go to something like Toastmasters to get used to it. Because if you have ideas in your head, the only way that you're going to get them out is to speak them out. So go to Toastmasters. They're usually free. They'll teach you how to speak in front of people. You could do them extemporaneously or every week you could prepare something. They'll grade your speaking. They'll count your ums. That was something that I learned. It's like they count your ums. It's like, so then once you become aware that you're saying you don't do the so you may give a speech for 15 minutes and they said that was great, we're going to grade it, you said 15 times.
Whoa.
It's like, I did, and you don't even realize it. So Toastmasters is a great place to start to get used to being in front, just like with anything. If you the more you practice, the better you get. the
Teacher,
person the
teacher.
person Even Les
Okay.
Brown was not good when he first started.
Oh yeah, but he'll tell you about it. A lot of people had a speech impediment that speak or fear of, or they may have stuttered as a child
Yes.
or things of that nature. But Tisha Dixon, who is tuned in right now, I don't know where you are from. Put in the chat. Asked, "What if I don't have a brand yet?" That's my
Ooh,
favorite part of the sentence. Yet.
that's perfect. That's perfect. So you can mold it the way you want. And I would say start with your passion. What is it that if I were to leave Tisha in a room with a room full of folks, what is she going to end up talking about? No matter where she goes, she could be at church, she could be at a convention. You leave her alone for 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden she's going to start talking about the same thing over it, whether it's food, whether it is PR, news, what it's what you talk about all the time when you are left alone. It's like that's your go-to. So that is part of your brand. And so at that point you're building that brand out. And then at that point, then we can talk about the marketing of it. What is the market of that brand? Someone will say, well, I don't like anything but shopping. Okay, well, are you an image consultant? That's part of what the marketplace would buy. So people pay people to do personal shopping for them. people who are very busy, C-suite women who don't know how to dress or don't care about dressing or don't want to, they will pay a personal shopper because they realize image is important, but they don't want to have nothing to do with it. So if you don't have a brand, it's a great place to start. You start with you do your self-reflection. What is it that you really want to bring to the world? What do you feel your gifts and talents are? And from there, you build it out. I remember doing a whole, at a certain point in time, sometimes, Dr. Tony, sometimes the older we get, the more skill sets we have. And so it's hard to really narrow it down. But I think if you're younger, you kind of know what it is that you really like to do. And so I remember at a certain point in time in my 30s, I wrote down all the things that I like to do and what was the main thing that I did all the time. A teacher. So there you go. And youth. Oh my God. Unsure how to use that passion. I'm in North Carolina. So one of the things that I would say, because you love teaching and youth, you will probably be a great speaker. Most of the great speakers, and I think I told you this, Dr. Tony, most of the great speakers started speaking out to youth because they have to bring that energy. Kids will let you know if you're boring. Okay, they're going to let you know. So Ariel Moody, he was a youth speaker. Delatoro McNeil was a youth speaker. Lisa Nichols spoke to teens. There's so many that started out in the youth market. And so colleges hire speakers. Obviously, if you're a teacher, you could teach and train within the school district itself because you like teaching. You could do professional development of how to really help teachers understand how to motivate their students. I mean, there's just within the education area where you're speaking, you're already doing it. Just get the contracts in different areas. That's probably like the easiest one. If there's a lot of speakers bureaus that hire, especially African American speakers, that want them to speak to their colleges because they're just trying to show their students different voices. So there's showcases for that. All you have to do is really decide on it and then start putting together the marketing assets and then going out to the market to really sell yourself.
So Dr. Pam, let me ask you this. So let's say a person knows what their skill set is. They know what they're good at. They, like you just connected some dots for our viewers. So that's great. Because you're right. Teachers do make good speakers because that's all they do all day long is speak.
And if they do it for kids, they can do it for anybody.
Right. They put together something comprehensible and they lay it out there. Okay, but let's say that a person knows, they know their skill set, they know what they're good at, right? But they need help getting it, getting out there. And we say, all right, you can just start and do it. Is that the kind of work you do? Do people come and contract with you and say, Dr. Pam, I know I'm a teacher, I know I'm a great speaker. I speak to third graders all day long, and I'd have to do all this creative stuff to get it. So do you help connect them, or are you?
Yes.
Okay.
That is exactly what I do. I help connect them because really they're just connections away from, they've been doing the work. So they're not in the marketplace to know what organizations to join, what conferences to go to, what influencers to talk with or partner with. Those are the things that a good publicist should do. They should be the person that is like your eyes and ears on the ground to help you get to that next level. The only thing I ask that person to do is just have clarity and surety about what it is that they do and a vision of where they want to go. And then in between, we work with them to get there. So I may say, well, you're really, really good. What is your main passion? What is your signature talk? And they'll say, well, my signature talk is this. Okay. Now let's do a signature book. Now let's do a website. Let's do this. Let's do that. Once they have the clarity and the surety about the thing, then I can tell them all the marketing assets that they need along the way in the sequence that they need it. But sometimes the lowest hanging fruit is where she said in North Carolina, there could be, I don't know, the National Educators Association coming up in North Carolina. Make sure you apply to speak. They have a call for speakers. Make sure you call for speak. That's what I tell people. It's like sometimes it's the lowest hanging fruit that we just disregard. You want to do that. So you want to be
every conference is looking for a speaker. And
yes.
people are looking for different speakers. Sometimes they've heard people over and over again and they're looking for something different. I just moderated a panel on gun violence on college campuses. I'm not a gun violence expert, but my expertise is in moderating.
Mm-hmm.
They
That
ask,
is a skill set. Yes,
yeah,
that is a
that's
skill set
that's a
people
skill
pay
set,
for.
and people
That
pay for it. Yeah.
facilitators, moderators, and MCs. If you speak, those are areas that people look for people to do. Because listen, if you have a bad MC at your event, your event's gonna be bad. If you have a
Yes.
bad moderator or facilitator for the panel, you can have all the experts on the panel, but if nobody can really pull that out of them, then it's a flop. So knowing your skill set, Tisha asked, clarity is the biggest issue. That's the biggest issue for a lot of people because we have so many things. But I have workbooks in my programs that help people pull out the clarity so that they can actually know. I'm working with a client right now that has a lot of skill sets about what she wants to do, but not really clear on what it is that she's doing. So she's doing the work and it's becoming clearer for her because it's like the series of questions that I'm asking her for her to do. So it's all in the workbook. One of the workbooks is called Your Brand, Your Story, and the other one is Showcase Your Expertise. And so they go through the workbook, they look at their visions, and really once you start doing this, you'll see a pattern about yourself that you never noticed. But it
And
was
I'm
there
a,
all the time, but you just need to do the work to show the
Absolutely.
clarity of it.
So what I did for me, and I read a little bit of your story. I went back and found that I won a writing contest rather when I was 9, the
Wow.
youngest person to win. I still have the frame that they say suitable for framing, and I never framed it. So I said, wait a minute, I won a writing contest when I was 9, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. When was 94? 20 years ago. No, that's so
30.
anyway, 30.
Yeah.
My 6th grade teacher sent back a paper that I wrote in the 6th grade.
What?
And said, why are you not writing more? So she sent it back to me. My 6th grade teacher now, right, 30 years ago. And it was about a young girl named Elsbeth, who was a detective. Now there's a show named Elsbeth. I really want my royalties. But anyway, but she sent it back. She said, it's in my treasure chest. Here it is. That was 30 years ago.
treasure chest. Wow.
And then I found a certificate from Junior Achievement when I won a speaking contest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was in a declamation. So, what I started doing was like, okay, wait a minute. It's how many times you have to get hit over the hammer to say
Right.
this
Right.
over the head with a hammer
It's a
to know that.
pattern. Yeah, it's a pattern.
And so for a lot of people, and this is for our viewer who's asking about clarity, I would challenge her also, and you tell me, Dr. Pam, if I'm on the right track here. Think back over your life at the things that you got great pleasure out of doing, that you did well,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that you just, you did it and you find yourself doing it. She probably has been teaching people a long time outside
Mm-hmm.
the classroom
Mm-hmm.
and training and teaching and speaking.
Yeah. And
That's
then even too, a good exercise to do is to maybe do uh, file folders, like maybe five file folders, and put things in there, things that are that you're interested in. Oh, what happened to Dr. Tony? Things
I'll
you're
come right back.
interested in. Things that you're interested in, and then really just started pulling together maybe articles and things like that that you're interested in, and see how all 5 of those folders really overlap. And then also to do what Dr. Tony does. I call it like maybe keeping a folder of a brag book or a brag file of the awards that you've won over the years or the things people have said. And then one day just kind of look at it and just see they're all kind of saying the same thing. It's like they're always saying that I do this or that. It's like you do it, but you don't really notice it until other people are starting to say that about your brand. So it's like, what do people say about you when you leave the room? It's like you were getting that award. You were getting that. People were saying back to you this. And so that's one of the things. And I remember just looking at through my folder that it was always getting these same type of awards or accolades about really starting things for African Americans. I started the first African American women in media group when I was in college. I did the same thing when I was in high school. I did the same thing when I got out of college. It was like Blacks in Advertising, Radio, and TV. I was like, I've always been on this little
women
rampage
empowerment.
about right trying to gather Black people in the media together. That's why I love
That's who you are.
NABJ.
That's who you are. That's right.
That's why I love NMPA. That's why I love NABJ. There's Beepers, Black Public Relations Society of America. I mean, there are different groups that have that resonate for me. You know, I just saw the National Speakers Network, I think it was. They're having Damon John and uh, Van. You know, anyway, so I was looking at those kind of Black conferences, and those are the things. And I remember I didn't go to a HBCU, but I would always go to Howard every year to their communications conference. That was just something that I loved to do. I would travel from Detroit every year to the Howard Communications Conference. And I remember the person that impressed me the most was Percy Sutton. Oh my God. When I saw Percy Sutton speak, I was like, that is a speaker. Now, he wasn't known like a, you know, a major platform speaker, but when
I mean, you got some people who don't know who he is. Go ahead, drop a gem on him real quick.
oh my God. So he was the first, well, he was, first of all, he was the attorney for Malcolm X. Okay. So he was attorney for Malcolm X back in New York. And then he owned a cable company. And then I want to say WLBS in New York. So he owned that radio station. His family did, Percy Sutton. And then they also owned the largest cable when cable was just getting into to thing. He won the cable contract for that. And he basically did a lot of things in communications that was trailblazing. And so I remember one of the things he said that stuck with me. He says, all of you young African-American people here at Howard University, you're doing great work. You have great resumes. He said, but if you want to work with me, if I look at your resume and you've not done anything with the NAACP or you've not done anything to help any other Black person, I will write you a letter back and say, thank you very much. Your accomplishments are great. But until you do something else for other Black people, you will not be working with me.
Well, he was also Manhattan. He was a borough president.
Yes.
And I'm dating
myself. Theater.
Right. And he was the commencement speaker at my college graduation from Morgan.
Are you serious?
He was our Percy Sutton was our commencement speaker. Listen up, Pam. One of our viewers wants the name of those books again. There's two books.
Now that you mentioned that, right? Those books, because you've been dropping books all day. Tisha and whoever else is listening, you cannot be scared to spend money on your education, because through a book or through a coaching session or through a session with a Dr. Pam, she can accelerate your journey just like that, because you don't have to know everything and go through everything she went through, because she already went through it and put it in the book. And so if you read the book, you can accelerate your learning and get to where you're going just a little bit faster. Everybody I know who's at the top of their game, if you look at their library or they tell you how much they've spent on courses and different things, it is up there. They have invested in themselves. Yes. Saying that, Dr. Pam, can you please put those books back up or name those books?
Yeah, this book is really, really old, and it will just shake you up about social media, about really putting yourself out there. It's just called Crush It. I think it's called crushitbook.com too. So you go crushitbook.com. But my book that was an anthology with other speakers is called Speak Up. And that was put together by the Black Speakers Network. Brian Oles put it together. It's called Speak Up. And it has all the speakers that talk about the message, the marketing, the management of speaking, the method of it, all of the M's that have to do with speaking up. And the book is about this thick. It's on Amazon, but take it like cheesecake. Eat a little bit at a time. Don't sit through and try to read the whole thing in one sitting, because you'll be overwhelmed. And the book is about this thick, but it really talks and gives you real life what it is in order to break into and dominate the speaking industry, whether it's training, coaching, teaching, those kind of things. So Speak Up is a book that I wrote with the Black Speakers Network.
I'm gonna give you some game one more time. We're in the AI era, people, and there's a lot of books that are on audio.
Oh yes.
So you got these great note-taking programs that if you upload an audio, it will take the notes for you. Now you still have to read the notes, but it will take the notes I mean, it is the best note taker I've ever seen in my life. If you have
Oh my
not
God.
used any of these AI note takers, get one, try it.
Fireflies is one. Fireflies is a good one.
I got one called Cocoa
Coconut.
Note. I mean, and it costs. And like people are like, oh, that app costs. Do you know how? Listen,
It saves you time.
you could be watching one of your YouTube mentors, and you're like, man, they would drop us some gems. What did they say? You can take that link, put it into your AI friend. Boom, they got all the notes, and they have the full transcript. Man, listen, this is no excuses. This is
Technology is
2025,
amazing.
the
It's
year of
amazing.
acceleration.
There was something I did. My mother-in-law turned 94 and we got her a tuxedo cake. I was showing her that I could take a picture of that cake, put it in Chat GPT, and it'll give me the recipe because she's saying how good it was. I did that.
Now you're saying something. I'm hungry. I think I'm hungry for real.
I did that, and it gave the directions, the measurements, what to put the oven on, just from uploading a picture to Chat. It gave the entire. She was amazed. I was amazed too, and she's 94. But to her, she was like, "I can't believe it." I said, "Yes." They gave you the exact instructions on what was in that cake.
Yep.
People, we better wake up, everybody. If you just tuned in, this is the power of marketing. Your chicken box. Yep, it's where you stand on your platform and you speak your truth. Share it with somebody. It is powered by the 132-year-old Black media giant. We call ourselves the Black Media Authority because we have authored more stories than anybody on the planet. So you can become an authority, like Dr. Pam says, by just authoring one thing. As soon as you author it, you see what
You
I'm
could
see what
take,
I'm doing here, people? You are
yeah,
now an authority. So you're like, what makes you an
mm,
authority? I'm an
mhm,
author, and
mhm,
I'm now the
mhm.
authority on it. And who's gonna refute you?
Yep. Say I wrote the book on it.
Right? Who is going to refute you? Man, the
Mm.
time is going crazy. Listen, I implore you to go to afro.com. I encourage you. I push you. We are Black owned media. Believe me, nobody's coming in and telling us what to say. Now they may shut this platform down, but you better go to afro.com because if one day they wake up and say the platform that all you beautiful Black people help build and that we monetize and we get billions of dollars from, that we don't give you none of it, we're going to take it away. What are we going to do? You got
That
to have a true media source. So go to afro.com, get a subscription. It helps us pay our young superstar writers and our staff and keep the information pushing in our community because it is too much noise for you not to have a place that you could say, you know what, when I need the truth, I'm going to the Afro.
yes, that is it. That is it. I remember one of my mentors, Dr. Teresa Harrison. She did Gospel Today magazine, and she did it for 30 years, maybe 30 or 40 years. But whatever it was a very long time. She was the only one that was really writing about the gospel music industry and the gospel industry. Uh, and I remember she said to me, people love being featured in it. They love the magazine. She says, but you know, Pam, when I go to churches and speak and I would tell people to subscribe to the magazine, I think it was like $20 a year. She said, people would not subscribe. I said, why? It's only $20. She says, I don't know. And it was like the most, I mean, we would work together on creative marketing campaigns and things like that, but it's something about not subscribing to a print publication that's why they're not around today. She said, if I had had the support of everybody who loved the magazine, subscribe to the magazine, we would still be around. So I always tell people, I said, if you love being featured in the Afro or the Michigan Chronicle or the Washington Informer or Essence or whatever, do you subscribe to it? And if they would say no, I said, well, don't expect to be in it. Not that you have to be a subscriber to be featured. I said, but support where you're going to be showcased. So if you love Essence, subscribe to it.
Right.
You know, if you love the Afro and being featured in it, subscribe to it. I said, at the very least, subscribe and like their page, like the YouTube channel, share the YouTube channel. That's easy to do. I mean, those are sometimes I think people have to be told what to do because they don't really think about it. They're always thinking about themselves. So tell people to like and subscribe and to share. You would think they would, but if they don't like the page, they don't subscribe, and they don't share the link, then they won't do it. So it's
I mean, that's
beating.
what we have to say. And you can't get everything for free all the time.
Yeah.
I did a book talk on Sunday, right? I did a book talk on Sunday at a church, and there weren't a whole lot of people that looked like us in the room. It was a great group of people. But the only person that asked me could they get a discount for the book was somebody who looked like us, right? And I'm like, okay, $20, as you said. And so the same thing with our Black media. I tell people all the time, support the Black media specifically the Black newspaper that's in your community.
Yes.
There are only about 220 of them in the country, and you want to make it better, subscribe.
Yes, that is it.
You have to subscribe. I had somebody talk to me today who wants to do business with us, and the person said to me, now they want to expand. We're doing business with them already, right? They wanted us to expand that. And she said, well, I don't know a lot about your business. Tell me about your business. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to tell you. Go to AFRO.com. You're having this call to ask me to say you want us to do more business with you, and you didn't take the time to find out what
to do a Google search.
If you put Afro in, the first thing that pops up is AFRO.com. If you put my name in, especially if you put Francis Tony Draper, it's going to pop up. If you put Francis Draper, Tony Draper, it's going to pop up. So that's just doing what you've said over the years, building a brand. But yes, so support our Black. Stop putting on our resumes that we belong to the NAACP. Send the membership dollars in there, not much. Right? I'm on the Boxx now. We get on the Boxx at the end, so I'm on the Boxx. I'm on the Boxx. So I want to say, as I'm on the Boxx, I want to thank Dr. Pam Perry for taking time today to get on the Chicken Box to tell us about how to brand and market ourselves. I hope that those who are watching now or will watch later really heard her say, you have everything you need already. Everything you need. And if there's a gap someplace, it is readily accessible. I heard Impeccable say, you can go to ChatGPT, listen, you can put the title in as long as the book was published prior to 2021 and say, summarize this book. It will give you all of the key points that you need. That's not a substitute for reading. I'm not reading it, but you should read it. I'm going to recommend another book. I'm going to recommend Afro Sheen. George Johnson just released, 94 years old, just wrote his story, right? On how he built a multi-million-dollar business called Johnson Products. It just came out 2 weeks ago. It is fascinating. No substitution for hard work, though. No substitution for hard work.
No. But it's called Afro Sheen. Everybody had that in there. Everybody had that in there.
Right. So at 94, so here's my point. It's not too late. At 94, George Johnson has written this wonderful book that I'm reading now that talks about his hard work, his perseverance, his vision, using his God-given talents to build. And he said something really clear in that book. It's about how you treat people, how you want to treat your employees, and giving them the best. And being willing to really hit the pavement and work hard. So he talks about all the shifts in his business and how much, how beautiful his buildings were. But anyway, I'm not going to tell you about the book. So Afro Sheen, that's a story in and of itself. So Dr. Pam Perry, you got to get it. I got it. I pre-ordered it, and so it came maybe about a week and a half ago. It's great. So Dr. Pam, thank you so much for.
Thank you, Dr. Tony.
Dr. Pam, what's your handle? Impeccable has do you have a handle like Impeccable does?
I tell people that my name is Pam, and it stands for Promoting, Amplifying, and Marketing Your Brand. So they can remember PAM, and those are the letters that it stands for: Promoting, Amplifying, and Marketing Your Brand. And
All
so
right.
really I tell people, I says, yeah, my name is Pam. I help people promote, amplify, and market their brand. And they couldn't remember that. And then they go to PamPerryPR.com and they see all the stuff that's there. I've been
Oh,
blogging for years. So they'll see all the blogs. And one of the things that I'm going to do is take some of my best blogs and put them together in a book. How sometimes people say, "Oh, I'm gonna get part of an anthology," and I was like,
yeah, yeah.
you don't need to be a part of an anthology. Just get your own stuff and put it together in a book."
There you go. There you go, Dr. Pam. Well, you on the box. You get a few more minutes. If there's anything, any closing remark that you
I
have.
just want to tell people to don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to speak out, speak up. I know that a lot of craziness is going on in government right now. People trying to get rid of DEI and all. We've seen worse and we've come through. The thing that we always have to do is really speak truth to power, use your words, stick together. That is one thing that has always made us come through it, is sticking together. Don't be like, oh, well, I'm not sure if I want to boycott and this. Well, boycott don't work unless everybody work together. Okay. That part we know. Okay. So just at a certain point in time, you're black. You're going to be black from the time you're born to the time you die. You're black for a reason. Use your brain, stick together as black people, and make sure that time does not reverse back on things that our ancestors worked so hard to achieve. It would be just a shame if we decide, because we're so uh, individualized now, that we just let things just roll back. Well, that doesn't concern me. Everything concerns you. You were black, and it's going to concern you, the people after you. So make sure that you stand up for things that you know that are right. It may hurt a little bit in terms of like, oh, okay, you may lose, I don't know, some followers on Facebook. I don't know, whatever it is, but speak truth to power. Stand up, and really make sure that uh, that time does not reverse all the progress that we've made as African Americans.
Man, well, those are great closing remarks. Impeccable had to hop off for another commitment, but if he were still here, he would also say, call a senior. Don't text them, call them, talk to them. They want to hear your voice. So he would say that. I want to thank Asia Perry, who no relation to Dr. Pam Perry,
I know.
maybe, but we don't think so. Who was our producer in the background. And also, if you are watching this broadcast when it's broadcast live on Thursday, February 27th, or by February 28th, speaking of boycotts, we're asking that you don't spend any money on the 28th of February nationwide. Get your grocery shopping done today. Fill up your car with gas today. Do whatever you need to do today. And so tomorrow we're sending a message that Black dollars matter.
Yes.
And when the Black dollars are not circulating, it is a pain point. And
Hmm.
so also a point of saying that we make progress, as Dr. Pam says, when we flow together. Now there's some other boycotts that are being called. Ash Wednesday starts next Wednesday. In March the 5th or 6th. Don't hold me on the date. It's one of those two. And Dr. Jamal Bryant out of Atlanta, Georgia, has asked people for Lent to fast from shopping at Target, and others have picked that up. And all around the dismantling of DEI initiatives throughout the corporate world certainly is your choice. We are the news. We report the news, but we advocate for what's best for
Yeah.
African American community. And so let your conscience be your guide, but we're putting it out there for what we can do together. So I'm going to get my groceries today, my gas today, whatever I need to spend, I'm spending it today and tomorrow, not spending any money. I don't even spend any money tomorrow anyway. So Dr. Pam Perry, thank you so much. Asia Perry, thank you so much. Impeccable, if you're still listening, I know you had to hop off for an appointment. Always good to co-host with you. Take care. God bless everybody and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And our